Hola, ¿cómo estás? Buenos días. Mi nombre es Timoteo. Good morning. I'm the Reverend Tim Kutzmark, and I serve as minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church here in Fresno, California. Welcome to our Sunday service that we are calling How the Pagans Gave Us Christmas. Glad you're here. We'll start the service in about 3 minutes, which means that there's time for you to like us, make us a Facebook friend if you haven't already. There's time for you to share this live stream with all of your friends, giving a gentle invitation to them to join us here. And there's time for bio break. There's time for another cup of coffee. Oh, and you might want to get yourself a candle, or if you have an actual chalice, bring that close. So at the start of the service, when I light the chalice, you can join me in kindling the flame. So we'll see you back in about 3 minutes. Bye-bye.
Hola, buenos dias. Mi nombre es Carrie Gordon. Good morning, I'm Carrie Gordon. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, California, and welcome to my classroom. This is where I spend my days teaching distance learning to 7th and 8th graders. And like most of you, I miss human contact, even with middle schoolers. I am struggling to make my virtual space as inviting and personal as possible, a sanctuary, you may say. So in order to show those of you who do not know me, this room at school lets you get a peek into who I am. What you do not see are the pictures, posters, buttons, and programs from my time with the high school youth group and attending GA. I even keep one of our tie-dyed shirts on the back of my chair. In the corner of my room is a little kitchen, which reminds me of our Sunday lunches after service. I remember those mornings when we would gather in the outside courtyard and eat lunch and talk together. Keep the faith, those days are coming again. And just hold on till then. And I am working on some new recipes that I would love to share when I see you all again in the sanctuary. And some of you I have never met IRL because you have discovered this church community online since the pandemic began. I can't wait to meet you and share a handshake and a chat. Reverend Tim has already had the pleasure of meeting many of you and introducing you during his Unitarian Universalism classes, spirituality drop-ins, and other workshops over the last 9 months. Tim tells me that some of you are the most interesting, spiritually engaged, and open people he has met in his time in the ministry. Some of you newer folks are younger persons, full of excitement and passion for justice, and for a church that is so different from what you were used to growing up. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Some of you newer folks are well seasoned by time and still growing and exploring and are opening to a religion that feels authentic to you, who you are as an individual. Welcome, welcome, welcome to you. Someday, not too far away, we'll gather in the sanctuary together and I'll welcome you face to face and say, here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, we welcome you no matter your race, culture or origin, age, spiritual background, or religious beliefs. You are welcome if you are lesbian, gay, bi, questioning, trans, or binary. You are welcome no matter your differing abilities, the amount of money in your bank account, or your level of education. You are welcome with or without documentation. No human being is illegal at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. Todos son bienvenidos aquí. I now lovingly pass you to Reverend Tim for the start of our service. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie, and it's so great to see you again. So, we're going to begin our service, and as we always do, we start with a sound that invites us to journey beyond the ordinary, beyond the day-to-day, and reconnect to that part within us, among us, and beyond us that is beyond all fear, that's beyond all uncertainty, but is connected to that infinite love in which we rest. Whenever I see our chalice, the flaming chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, I think of many things. I think of first the bowl of the chalice. It's a symbol of the divine feminine, the goddess. And so it reminds us that our faith tradition reaches back beyond the Christian tradition to, yes, pagan roots. And of course, as we're going to see, Christianity grew out of Jewish roots, but also much of Christianity grew out of the dominant pagan cultures of the time. So this represents the great cosmic womb out of which all creation emerged. And into that chalice, into that space that's open to receive, we place a flame. What does that flame represent, you might ask? It represents the light of love, the light of reason, the warmth of community, and it also represents the light of the Big Bang, that amazing spark that brought all of this mystery of life into being. And so we light our chalice. And as that flame takes hold, I invite us to join together in our mission statement. La misión de la Iglesia Unitaria Universalista de Fresno es amar inclusivamente, crecer espiritualmente, servir con gratitud y trabajar por la justicia. The mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno is to love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice. In that spirit, let's join in our opening chant, perfect for these darkening days leading up to the winter solstice. Dark night, starry night, new beginning.
Dark night, starry night, new beginnings. Dark night, starry night, will come to be. Dark of the moon, dark night, starry night, new beginnings. Dark night, starry night, will come to be. Dark of the moon, dark night, starry night, new beginnings. Dark night, starry night, will come to be. Dark of the moon, dark night, starry night, new beginnings. Dark night, starry night, will come to be.
Hola, soy Danny. Howdy friends, Danny here. And for today's Time for All Ages, we've got quite the story ahead of us. It's a story of fighting against injustice for religious freedom, a story of a miracle born out of faith, and a tradition of remembrance. It's the story of Hanukkah. So now let's go visit Lorenzo so he can tell us the tale.
Hi everybody, Lorenzo here, and I'm going to tell you a story about the holiday called Hanukkah, which our Jewish friends are in the middle of celebrating right now. A long time ago, before even our grandparents' were alive, the land that we now know as Israel was ruled by a king named Antiochus. Now, among the folks who lived there were many Jewish people who practiced their religion at the ancient temple in the city of Jerusalem. This temple was the holiest of their holy places and the center of Jewish life. But Antiochus didn't want to rule over a nation of many religions and cultures. He wanted all the people to live the way he lived and prayed. And this meant that he didn't want the Jewish people to dress or worship or eat differently. So the Jewish people weren't allowed to celebrate their Sabbath and their holiday festivals. And he didn't let them read or study their sacred books. But maybe worst of all, he wouldn't let them worship in their temple. And he turned their holy temple into a place that became very unholy, making a real mess by setting up idols to Greek gods inside. Many Jews were afraid for their lives and felt they had to follow the king's orders. But there was one group of brave souls called the Maccabees who decided that they didn't want to obey the king's rules or give up their traditions, and they were determined to take back the temple and defend their religious freedom. Compared with the king's army, they were a very small band of brave folks, but they were very mighty in spirit. They fought very hard, and against all odds, they won a very unlikely victory over the king's powerful army. They took back the temple, but they were heartbroken to discover that the king had not taken very good care of their holy space. So they got to work cleaning it up, and they got rid of all the unwanted stuff the king had set up inside. They cleaned every inch of the temple, and then they held a big celebration. The word Hanukkah, remember, this is a story about Hanukkah, means dedication, and it comes from that time so long ago when the temple was won back for the Jewish people. Now, the most famous story about that rededication tells about the Maccabees when they walked back into the temple and they found only enough oil to light their sacred lamp for one day. But miraculously, the oil lasted 8 days, which is exactly how long it took to get more new oil. So, These days, our celebration of Hanukkah lasts 8 days in honor of those miracles that happened so long ago. We light 8 candles on the menorah, and we eat foods like latkes or potato pancakes. We play special Hanukkah games and give and receive gifts. With every Hanukkah candle we light, we are reminded of the most important message of all, that we should always work to find the light in the shadows, and we must always work to keep the light of religious freedom burning for everyone. And now, I gently pass you to the home of the Wise family who will light the Hanukkah candles for us. They're lighting 3 candles today because today is the 3rd day of the holiday. So take it away, Wise family.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Hanukkah.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, source of all life, who made us holy through your mitzvah, or commandment, giving us the radiance that we bring forth together as we kindle the Hanukkah lights.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim me'avotenu, bayamim ha'im ba'azman hazeh.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, source of all life, who performed wondrous deeds for our ancestors in these days of old at this season.
Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the horror. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Cradles to play with and latkes to reach. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, Yantif Ashener, a lustiger, a freiliger, mit Tonach Seiner, alle Nacken Gredel spielen wir, zu der Käselat des Essen wir. Geschwinder sind Kinder, die der Neger lichterlich an. Zog das Hanissim leuchtet, vor den Nissim, guckt sicher tanzen in Korn. Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the horror. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Cradles to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago.
In the Jewish tradition, in the Jewish scriptures, in the book of Genesis, the first words are so evocative. They say, in the beginning, the breath of the Holy One was blowing and flowing over the great void. So in that tradition, in that mythology, it was the breath of the one, the holy, that existed, and the Ruah, the breath is called Ruah, the breath just brought all of this into being. And there's truth to that. Our breath, for us, keeps all of us in being. And so, in that spirit, let's take a breath together in, breathing in peace, just holding a moment, and breathing out love. And again, breathing in peace, we hold just a moment and we breathe out love. One more time, breathing in peace, we hold, we breathe out love. As we continue breathing together in this time, in this place, in this sanctuary that we make sacred and holy by our intention, our holy intention to be wholly present together as a community. And as we breathe, I invite us to allow that breath to carry us gently back over the last week, the last 7 days of our living. And the question emerges out of this time of year, out of these days approaching solstice, out of this time where the nights grow longer and deeper and the days grow shorter and shorter. And so my question is, in these times of shortening days and lengthening nights, where are you seeing beauty in the darkness? As we reflect together, as we breathe together, I wonder what is moving in your heart, what is alive in your mind on this morning. Is there a joy that you're feeling? Is there a concern? Is there a sorrow that you're feeling? Or do you have a gratitude, something that just makes you want to say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, universe. This is the time when we share those personal joys, concerns, sorrows, and gratitudes. If you'd like to share this morning, just let those fingers type and share in our comment box. And as we do, share with one another, because it is through sharing that we sustain community. It is through the sharing of our stories, bearing witness to our stories, truly honoring our stories, that we sustain community. For our lives are sacred scripture, and we celebrate them. And so as we share, let us also lift up the names of our beloveds, those who we want to surround with extra prayers, good thoughts, warm energy, and infinite love. We especially lift up the name of longtime beloved church member Bernadette S., who has entered the gentle embrace of hospice care. For all that we've shared, for all that we hold in that tender, quiet, secret place in our hearts, and for all those who on this day have no one to remember them, no one to speak their name with gentleness or with love, we light our candle of community. By our remembering, may we and they be blessed. We light a second candle, as is our custom. It burns for the over 1.55 million citizens of our world who have lost their lives in this pandemic.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Consuélame,
Consuélame, consuélame, oh mi alma. Consuélame, 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 oh mi alma. Speak to me, speak to me, speak to me, oh my soul. Speak to me, speak to me, speak to me, oh my soul. Háblame, 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 oh mi alma. Háblame, 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 oh mi alma. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
We are in the midst of an unfolding season that is filled with so many sounds. Sounds of carols, sounds of dreidels spinning, sounds of solstice fires crackling, sounds of Kwanzaa candles being lit, sounds of laughter, and yes, sounds of crying, sounds of tears. Sometimes in this season, I have to admit, there can be too many sounds, too many sights. It can overwhelm. And so let the simple sound of our meditation bowl, created with love and with sacred intention in the 1700s in the Himalayas of Tibet, let that simple sound carry us to that place of no sound, the place of silence.
We are headed into the longest night. The winter solstice is a time to look back upon our ancestors, gather our family and friends close, and rejoice in the return of the sun. It is a time for our renewed hope and a time of resurrection as the cycle wheels turn, bringing light into darkness before darkness into light. And yet, this year we cannot gather with hugs and touches. And rejoicing amidst tragedy seems strange. How can it be that we are to celebrate and mourn all at once? How can we come together while needing to stay apart? And so we remember, on that night, when the long dark reaches its zenith, it can seem for the briefest of moments that darkness's reign will be eternal. But we know that will not be. It is a reminder that we are ever on the cusp of change, that hope looks different in different moments, that now it may look like waving through windows, dropped off cookies on doorsteps, Zoom calls with family and friends, we are finding connection, even in the midst of uncertainty. And so we say, O Spirit of dark mystery and eternal love, we ask you to bless this season and its many hard truths. We ask that the divine spark in us be nurtured with the warmth of love, that our grief and our hearts be held in tenderness, and that the joys of the season be a soothing balm. Help us see beauty and the magnificence of the night, and be reminded of the hope the season has brought our ancestors for centuries. Let us be reminded of the power of the miraculous turning of the earth, and filled with the awe of both the long darkness and the coming of the light. Let us feel connected to the ancient and the power churning of the seasons. Let us bask in the interconnected web of life. And let us feel loved. So may the night come to pass. Blessed be. Amen.
Without the depth of darkness, we could never see the beauty of the light. don't know about you, but I feel most connected to that awesome wonder of life when I am outside looking up at the winter night sky. There is something sacred about the simplicity of the winter sky at night. If that resonates with you in any way, type NS in the comment box for night sky. 2 years ago, on the night of the winter solstice, the longest night of the year, I was out walking the dog, savoring the starkness of the early winter sky, juxtaposed against the colorful cacophony of the neighborhood's Christmas lights. I stopped, stared, and took it all in. I loved how the vast darkness of the sky spread itself over and above our tiny, electric, futile attempts to drive away the night. Humans have been dancing in the tension between night and light for as long as the human heart has been beating. As poet Susan Cooper writes, so the shortest day came and the year died. And everywhere down the centuries of the snow-white world came people singing, dancing to drive the dark away. They lighted candles in the winter trees. They hung their homes with evergreen. They burned beseeching fires all night long. Through all the frosty ages, you can hear them echoing behind us. Listen. All the long echoes sing the same delight. Long, long before the words Navidad, Nativity, Christmas, Yeshua, Jesus, and Jesus were first spoken, the ancient ones gathered in sacred circles and on hilltops to light bonfires to bring light into the darkest time of the year. I was reminded of this 2 years ago when, during my solstice walk, I stopped in amusement and appreciation in front of one of Fresno's, how shall we say, overabundantly decorated Christmas homes. I couldn't decide with that sheer awesomeness of its wattage if it was terrific or tacky or both at the same time. But as I looked at all that light, interestingly, my eye was drawn to a small red and white sign tucked into a darker corner of the yard. The sign read, "What is the reason for the season?" followed by the name of a nearby Christian megachurch. The reason for the season. I had to fight my Unitarian Universalist impulse to march up the sidewalk, knock on the door, and say to that homeowner, "What is the reason for the season?" Well, since you asked. The original reason for the season is the winter solstice, the day with the shortest amount of sunlight and the longest night. Solstice is derived from two Latin words, sol meaning sun and sistera meaning to stop. It's the day that the ancient pagans believed that they were able to literally stop the sun from departing. It was the day the sun was born anew into the world. In the Northern Hemisphere, the winter solstice falls on December 21st or 22nd. In pre-Christian Rome, the pagans celebrated the shortening days and lengthening nights with a hugely popular multi-day celebration called Saturnalia, honoring the Saturn sun god. From December 17th to the 23rd, the Romans offered sacrifices at the temple, feasted in huge public banquets, exchanged small gifts, gambled, and upended the Roman class system by having masters serve their slaves. It was splendid fun. This Roman solstice time celebration was later extended when the emperor declared December 25th to be the birthday of Sol Invictus, the invincible Roman sun god. December 25th was the birthday of the sun, S-U-N. So, how did December 25th go from being the birthday of the sun, S-U-N, to the birthday of the sun, S-O-N? See, the early Christians, they had little interest in the birth of Jesus. In fact, the first gospel we have, the Gospel of Mark, written some 40 years after Jesus' death, says nothing about his birth and begins at the start of the adult Jesus' ministry. It took about 20 more years for the first of the nativity stories to be written down in the Gospel of Matthew. That was almost 60 years after Jesus' death. The early Christians didn't celebrate Jesus' birthday. And it was only some 300 years after Jesus' death that the Roman Catholic Church declared December 25th to be the birthday of the Son, S-O-N, of God. Their reasoning? The pagan celebrations of Saturnalia and Sol Invictus were so popular, the Catholic Church wanted to offer a Christian alternative to make it easier for pagan Romans to convert to Christianity. Even if they gave up their pagan gods, they wouldn't have to give up their pagan partying. They could keep their celebration. They only had to call it Christmas. And instead of honoring Saturn and the birth of the sun, S-U-N, God, they had to honor Jesus, the Son, S-O-N, of God. At that time, throughout the ancient world, there were many different midwinter solstice celebrations. Those festivals of life celebrated a hero god who is often the god of the earth's vegetation. In the autumn, the god sickened and died or was killed. As the leaves fell from the trees, the god went to dwell in the underworld of shadows and dark. Something had to be done to revive the god, to give rebirth to the plants and the trees. A superhero was needed to bring light back to the world. One of the greatest of the ancient world's hero gods was the Persian god Mithra. The legend tells that Mithra was found one night, a baby, cold and crying in a cave. Shepherds watching in the fields nearby discovered him and cared for him. Does that sound familiar? In Persia, modern-day Iran, just after midnight, as December 25th began, priests, or magi, led the faithful to a shrine at the mouth of a cave. There, a bull was killed and burned as a sacrifice. Each worshiper held aloft a torch. They sang praises to the newborn god Mithra, calling him the strong, the mighty, the bringer, God of light and power. They cried, "Rejoice, a child of heavens has been born, for unto us a child is given." Middle Eastern magi, wise ones, paying homage at the birth of a holy child. Does that sound familiar? But the pagan winter solstice didn't only illuminate the masculine power of gods. The divine feminine was an essential part of many pagan solstice stories and celebrations. Throughout the longest night of the year, it was the Earth Mother who painfully labored to give birth to the sun baby. and so renew the light of the world. Ancient pagan traditions taught that no child of light could be born without the powers of the feminine, without the wisdom and the womb of the Divine Mother. In Africa and other parts of the ancient world, Isis and her son Horus were among the most widely worshipped Divine Mother and Son. Their story, as retold in both Shack and Palace, was an ancient soap opera, a story of sex, scandal, escape, intrigue, and murder. Sounds like the latest binge-watch-worthy Netflix series, doesn't it? It begins with Isis and her husband Osiris. Osiris was the rugged and buff god king. During a coup to claim the throne, Osiris was brutally murdered by his evil brother, Seth. Fearing for her own life and the life of her unborn child, Isis fled and took refuge in the papyrus swamps of the Delta in northern Egypt. And it was there, after enduring a long and difficult labor, that Isis gave birth to her son Horus on the night of the winter solstice. Horus was the Egyptian savior god, the god of life, who grew to manhood and defeated the powers of evil, thus restoring righteousness on earth. Peace on earth was brought by the one born through the birth canal of the Divine Mother. In Egypt, on the shortest day of the year, the high priest would disappear into a dark cave. When he returned, he bore a torch in one hand and a newborn infant in the other. He held the child up high, crying, "Behold the infant sent to us to bring light upon the world." Sound familiar? These were all stories in circulation during the time the Gospels of Matthew and Luke were written, during the time these early Christian evangelists decided to tell, for the first time, the story of how Jesus was born. The birth of the Roman sun, S-U-N, the shepherds and magi of Mithra, the solstice labor of Isis, the saving power of Horus were all part of the religious zeitgeist of the ancient world. These are the sources of the story we now tell about Jesus at Christmas time. Knowing this in no way diminishes the beauty of the Christian nativity story. I believe it enhances our understanding of its universal origins. There is something beautiful in knowing that the African image of Isis and Horus can transform into the Middle Eastern image of Miriam and Yeshua, Mary and Jesus, Maria and Jesus. I'm less delighted that 1,300 years later, the brown-skinned Miriam and Yeshua were transformed into a Western European Mary and Jesus with light skin and blonde hair. But that is another sermon. But no matter their skin color, the divine feminine was an essential part of the pagan world's winter solstice. The Scandinavian and Germanic tribes of Europe called the night of the winter solstice Mother's Night, and it was sacred to the triple goddess, the maiden who created life, the mother who sustained it, and the crone who took it away. The winter night sky was connected to this female-focused depiction of the cycle of life. The maiden was represented by the new moon, the mother by the full moon, and the crone by the waning moon. From this came the universal symbol for the triple goddess. Stories of the maiden, mother, and crone crossed cultures and religions. The triple goddess was well known when Christianity borrowed her, masculinized her, and transformed her into the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But its pagan origins have not been lost. The Christian faith's belief in the birth, life, death, and resurrection of Jesus emerged out of the pagan world's belief in the natural cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth. This natural cycle of life is one of the richest teachings the winter solstice offers us. Without the depth of darkness, we could never see the coming of the light. Without the mystery of death, we could never appreciate the gift of life. The winter solstice reminds us that, as the Reverend Jane Jepka writes, the flow of life moves ever onward through one chilling winter into another faithful spring. The winter solstice, it invites us to awaken to the power so abundant, so holy, that returns each year through earth and sky. As a sixth source of Unitarian Universalism reminds us, this season of waning light calls us to celebrate the sacred circle of life and live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. For nature remembers what we humans have forgotten. Every cycle must return to the stillness, the silence, the darkness. Every outer endeavor turns back inward to its origins, its center, and begins again. From death comes new life, and from the beauty of the darkest night, the new dawn is born. As Susan Cooper writes, and so the shortest day came, and the year died, and everywhere down the centuries of the snow-white world came people singing, dancing. They lighted candles in the winter trees. They hung their homes with evergreens. They burned beseeching fires all night long. And when the New Year's sunshine blazed awake, they shouted, reveling. Through all the frosty ages, you can hear them echoing behind us. Listen, all the long echoes sing the same delight. This shortest day, as promise wakens in the sleeping land, they carol, feast, give thanks, and dearly love their friends and hope for peace. And now, so do we here, now, this year, and every year. Happy solstice. Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
Candle, sing a song, say that the shadows shall not cross, make an oblation out of all you've lost, in the longest night. Gather, friends, and cast your hopes into the fire as it snows, and stare at God through the cold windows of the longest night of the year. A night that seems like a lifetime if you're waiting for the sun. So why not sing to the nighttime and the burning stars up above? Come with drums, bells and horns, or come in silence, come forlorn, come like a miner to the door of the longest night. For deep in the stillness, deep in the cold, deep in the shadows, a miner knows that there is a diamond in the soul of the longest night of the year. A night that seems like a lifetime if you're waiting for the sun. So why not sing to the nighttime and the burning stars up above? Maybe peace hides in the storm. Maybe winter's heart is warm, and maybe light itself is born in the longest night, in the longest night.
It is the long-standing custom here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno that on the second Sunday of every month, we take an offering and extend it to a social justice organization or individual that is in alignment with our Unitarian Universalist religious values.
Good morning. My name is Amanda Peterson, and on behalf of the Sunnyside High School AVID program, I am here to thank you for your support and tell you a little bit about what we do. AVID stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. It is a college preparatory elective that students enroll in for 4 years during high school to prepare them for matriculation to the university and success in university and beyond. There are many faces of AVID. We have students who are DACA recipients who are undocumented. We have students who are foster youth. We have students who have been homeless. We have students who are children of immigrants. We have students who are immigrants. We have students who are children of refugees. These are young people who are striving to turn their college dreams into a reality. AVID students are hardworking, they are inspirational, and they are striving to change the quality of their lives and the lives of their families. For example, one of our students, unfortunately, was a witness to domestic violence in her home. And school was a safe place for her and an escape for her. And she was able to finish her degree at Fresno State and then to be able to support her mother in having the confidence and a safety net to be able to transition into a safe environment. She is a social worker now, and she now serves the community in a way that she needed services when she was a young person. We have students who have lost parents and are taking care of their younger siblings. We have graduates who are now in medical school. We have graduates who are teachers. We have graduates who are attorneys. We have graduates who have created their own businesses. We have graduates who are professional athletes. We have graduates who are finding their way on life's journey, but they are armed with the intellectual and social capital that they need to be successful. Your donation supports our scholarship fund, which enables students who otherwise might not be able to pursue their college dreams. Thank you so much for your donation. It is changing the life of a young person in our community.
In that spirit, let's join in our words of offering. If not us, then who? If not open hearts, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? If not generously, then how? If not us, then who?
Hello again, friends. I'm Danny, and I'm back with a reveal of Reverend Tim's Sunday socks. Now, this week was part 1 of Reverend Tim's seasonal sock showdown between red reindeer and poinsettias, solstice snowflake sparkles, and blue moose munch and Christmas tree. And you voted for blue moose munch and Christmas tree socks. Few reminders for you, friends. Friday, December 18th at 6:30, we'll be having our winter solstice service on Zoom. We invite you to join us for this sacred celebration. Tonight is another installment of Faith and Film with Reverend Tim, and this time it's Rent, live on Broadway. Rent was the Hamilton of its generation, depicting a group of impoverished young artists struggling to survive and create a life on the lower Manhattan East Village under the deadly shadow of HIV and AIDS. Much of the musical takes place on Christmas time, and this film captures the final live Broadway performance. On Wednesday and Friday of this week, I'll be hosting the first of the Spirit and Practice workshops. This particular workshop will look at the solitary component of the practice of spirituality. Last but not least, after the service, the Environmental Justice and Sustainability team is meeting. And we will post a link in the comments below so that you can access that easily. With that, I will pass you to the always wonderful Patty.
Hello, I'm Patty Bennett, and I'm the coordinator of congregational life here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. It's a pleasure to be talking with you today. We're delighted that newcomers have been joining us in our online services. If you are new to our church community, I'm talking especially to you. Please find the link to our connection card in the Facebook comments section and share your contact information with us, because we'd like to send you our weekly email newsletter and invite you to participate in our upcoming classes and activities. If you have any questions about our church and our faith, please reach out to me. I'll also post my email address in the comments. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Now we'll return to Reverend Tim for our chalice extinguishing.
We began our service this morning by meditating upon the meaning of the chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. The bowl, you will recollect, dates back to pre-Christian times. It's a pagan symbol that represents, among other things, the divine feminine power in the universe, the goddess, and the great cosmic womb out of which all life emerged. It also, quite frankly, is a drinking instrument at one time. And so many a good chalice of beer was chugged in ancient times. But I think of it as an instrument that perhaps nourishes that thirst of our soul for that which is good. And the flame, it represents the light of love, the light of reason. And so we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts.
Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón.
Well, dear ones, closing words, our sung benediction. Then you must stay for the postlude. My muse is back. I just love them. They're so amazing musicians, and they have a solstice-themed song that they recorded just for us. And so I invite us to take our hands, place them tenderly over our hearts. Go now in peace. May you leave this place knowing you are good and knowing you are loved. Take your love, share it with the world. Stay safe until we meet again. And may the longtime sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and that pure light that is within you guide your way on.
Go from here in peace, go with love. Go from here in peace, go with love. Go from here in peace, go with love. In love, go in peace. Shalom and assalamu alaikum.
Ooh, I wonder. Oh, I wonder. Ooh, I wonder. What is to come out of this darkness? Ooh, I wonder. Oh, I wonder. Ooh, I wonder. What is to come out of this dark? I've been moving to the darkness. Moving to the dark. Moving through the darkness. I wonder where the light is. When the light open singing. Ooh, I wonder. Oh, I am filled with wonder. Ooh, I wonder what's to come out of this darkness. I thought this candle had long gone out. I thought this candle had long gone out. I
and long gone out. But today, I can see there's still a flickering. Ooh, I wonder. Oh, I am filled with wonder. Ooh, I wonder what is to come out of this darkness. Ooh, oh, yeah. Burning on the inside, burning like a bright, burning on the inside. This light still burning bright. I thought this candle had long gone out. I thought this candle had long gone out. Thought this candle had long gone out. But today, I can see there's more than a flickering. Ooh, I wonder. Oh, I am filled with wonder. Ooh, I wonder what is to come out of this darkness.
When windows that are wintry cold are lit anew with fires of gold, when dusk in quiet shall descend and shadows come once more a friend, when wings pursue their proper flight and bring not terror but delight, when clouds are innocent again and hide no storms of deadly rain, and when the sky is swept of wars and keeps but gentle moon and stars, that peaceful sky, that harmless air, how sweet the shadow